Previously on our Southern California overland adventure. Following a stunning, picturesque drive through Titus Canyon, we emerged, only to find that heavy winds had overtaken Death Valley. And in a bid to escape the gusting winds and find a place to camp for the night, we inadvertently drove straight into the path of a blinding sandstorm, before eventually giving up on Death Valley and making a run for the nearest town, Biddy Nevada, some 50 miles away. And that evening, we celebrated, having overcome the day's misadventure. But what we didn't know at the time was that tomorrow would bring an even bigger problem, one that threatened to end our trip altogether.
Well, good morning, everyone. Well, maybe not the best of mornings. Woke up to a little bit of a issue this morning with the truck. Fired it up, was just airing up the tires. We got a little bit of a highway drive today before we got back into Death Valley and noticed a pretty substantial leak. And after poking around for a little bit, looks like we've got, it's a coolant leak. So yeah, again, the plan had been to spend the next couple days in Death Valley in the backcountry camping, but don't know how wise that would be to do. So we're gonna grab some breakfast and reassess. I hope this isn't the end of our trip. We may have to cut this one short though. We'll see what it looks like. And but hey, you know what? It's all part of the adventure. It's all part of the travels. So we'll see what happens, and we'll go from there.
All right, we've had breakfast, so we thought we'd give you all an update. You want to tell them?
We're going back to Vegas.
Going back to Vegas.
This trip keeps taking us to Vegas for one reason or another.
It's Jeff's new favorite place.
Yeah, we're heading back to Vegas. We're going to the Lexus dealership because it's leaking pretty heavily. Heavy enough that we don't really want to be deep into the backcountry in the middle of Death Valley and have to deal with that. So the Lexus dealer is about an hour and 45 minutes away from Biddy. And if everything goes to plan, I think we can still get back to Death Valley, and I think we can still have another day of camping in the valley. So that's the plan right now, but right now priority is just to get to the Lexus dealer, get everything taken care of so we can get back on the road and finish our trip. And I guess we're just gonna have fun in Vegas tonight. What are we doing? We're going to a buffet? We gotta do something.
Yeah, we'll get into something.
There you go.
So stay tuned.
All right, update on our current situation. As you can probably see, we are back in Las Vegas for the second time, making this our second unplanned stop to a place that I don't generally care for very much. But we got the truck in the shop and heard back from the dealership, and it sounds like it is actually the radiator, so that's kind of good news, but they have to order the part, and the part will not arrive until tomorrow. And so we are basically just gonna hang out in Vegas for the rest of the day. So we're gonna do a little Vegas buffet, because why not? And I don't know what else we'll get up to, but we'll have some fun. We'll make the most out of it. Just have to remember that this is all part of the adventure. This stuff happens, and ultimately it could have been a lot worse. So anyway, that's where we're at. I'm ready to eat and maybe throw some money away in some slots. I don't know, we shall see. We're here at Lexus of Las Vegas, and we have some good news on the truck. It is fixed. The radiator was separating from the core. That was causing our leak, so we got a new radiator installed, and we are ready to get back on the road. Huge shout out to Lexus of Las Vegas and our service advisor, Christina, who did everything she could to expedite this, since she knows that we're in the middle of a big trip right now. So they got it done as fast as they possibly could, and did an awesome job. So I will say this is the first time I've ever taken the truck to a Lexus dealer, and other than my pocket being quite a bit lighter, it was a pleasant experience. So looking forward to get back on the road. It gives us another day in Death Valley, and we should be camping in Death Valley tonight, and then we'll slowly start working our way north. So we should be able to end this trip on a high note yet. Super excited to get back on the road. So let's do it. And here we are for the third time in 4 days in the town of Biddy, Nevada. First time was just to get gas. Second time was escaping a sandstorm and high winds in Death Valley. And third time is to gas up and grab some lunch before heading back into Death Valley. I gotta tell you, this is a cool little town. I've become a fan. It kind of became our refuge on night 2. I'm out in front of the Happy Burrow, which is a super cool place to hang out. We hung out there the second night and had a great time. The staff was super cool. And apparently they have some award-winning chili. They've got awards all over the walls for the chili, but they were sold out when we came here for dinner on night 2. So we're back and we're gonna grab a little chili for lunch before we head back into Death Valley. And then the other thing we're doing in Biddy, other than getting gas and chili, is right over here. There's a barbecue place called Smokin' Jay's Barbecue. They were also closed the second time we were here and the first time we were here. But one thing that we've learned that we absolutely love to do, it's kind of a camp cooking hack, is we love to find a barbecue place and get some like pulled pork, or in this case we got brisket, and then we'll take that with us, and then when we do dinner at camp, we'll throw that on nachos, or we'll throw that in quesadillas, some ready-made awesome barbecue on top of one of those things. So that's what we're gonna do tonight. We're gonna do brisket nachos with brisket from Smokin' Jay's. So yeah, I guess that's my review of Biddy, Nevada. Who knew? Big fan. And we'll probably only be here for a few minutes. We're gonna try the chili since they've got it today. And then we'll be back in Death Valley for at least one more night before calling it a trip.
Yes.
That was worth coming back for. Yeah. That's super good.
Comes in a bottle. Then you can.
This is just for me, right?
Happy to be back in Death Valley after our series of misadventures. We made our first stop at the Ubehebe crater. This crater was formed when hot magma rising near the surface flashed water into steam, which expanded until the pressure was released as a tremendous explosion. The result was what you see here, a massive crater, a half a mile wide and over 700 feet deep. And while this was a spectacular sight to behold, we didn't stay long, as once again, we were chased off by heavy winds.
All right, I want to give you all a quick update. We just finished up at Ubehebe crater. I am so glad that we made a stop there. I think it was pretty cool to see just how big that crater is, given how young it is. Everyone is behind me. They're airing down the tires. We're on Death Valley Road. We're going to try to find a camp spot somewhere in BLM land and just hang out for one more night of camping. Tomorrow we're all going to pack up camp and head home. It's been a really fun trip. I'm so glad that we did this. I just love the desert. I think being in the Pacific Northwest, I'm so used to seeing mountains and trees, and to spend the last 2 weeks just exploring Southern California and the desert, I think it's been amazing. I imagine we will be coming back here again, hopefully in the very, very near future.
Well, we found camp for the last night of the trip, and this feels like an exclamation point on what has been an incredible 2-week trip. And honestly, after everything that we went through the last couple days with the truck and the issues we had, and having to run back to Vegas and having to leave Death Valley because of the winds and the dust storms, this is the perfect campsite to end a trip on. I couldn't have asked for anything better. If this isn't the best campsite I've ever camped at, it's got to be number 2 on the list. We are at about 5,000 feet, and that is Death Valley. The weather is cold. I mean, I'm wearing layers. I've got my gloves on, my beanie. I've got all my layers on because it's cold. So what are the odds that we get a still night, we get cool weather, we're overlooking Death Valley? I don't really have words for how amazing this is. I mean, this is why we come out here and do this. It's nights like this, it's campsites like this. And it really makes you realize that the adventure is worth it. And all the challenges and all the obstacles are worth it when you get a night like this. So if you can't tell, I'm pretty happy right now. And so I'm gonna go enjoy camp. I'm gonna go enjoy some camp nachos with some barbecue brisket that we've got, watch the sunset, and that's that. Well, good morning from the hottest place on earth, where I'm fairly confident it was well below freezing last night. Actually, I think it dipped down into the 20s. Granted, we are at about 5,000 feet in elevation overlooking Death Valley, but pretty wild to be in a place that's so notorious for being so hot and for it being so cold. So hence all of the beanie and cold weather gear I've got going on this morning. It's still pretty cold this morning. The sun's just starting to warm things up a little bit, but honestly, it was pretty nice, and I would much rather have that than like 105 degree weather, personally. Again, last night's campsite was just spectacular. Definitely top 3 on my list for anywhere I've ever camped. The view was amazing. It took a little effort to get here. It was a little bit difficult to find. We kind of just were winging it. And you know what? That's really sometimes when you find the best campsites, when you're just winging it. You just find a road and you're like, well, let's go down there and just see where it leads. And that's what this was. So the effort paid off. And so we're just gonna enjoy this view a little bit more this morning before we pack up and head out of Death Valley and get on the road. Oh, and by the way, if you see drone footage in this video, I just want to point out that we are actually in BLM land right now. There's a little sliver of BLM land, which is where we camped last night. And it's kind of inside Death Valley, but it's BLM land. So I am always very cautious and careful with where I fly the drone, and I never fly in national parks. But if you do see some drone footage this morning, just know that it is from this BLM land that we're on. So anyway, we'll see how the remainder of the day gets on today and get back on the pavement and head home from there.
Reluctantly, we packed up camp for the final time on this trip. And what a trip it had been. Southern California had proven to be an excellent destination for our 2-week overland adventure. And as we began making our way back down the mountain, I couldn't stop thinking about how grateful I was for the experiences this journey had provided and for the memories made along the way. But at the same time, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had forgotten something.
I think they're leaving without us. Oh, we have quite a ways to walk now.
Copy.